Our story revolves around the hero Kai, who lived on Earth after humanity's victory over the different races in the Great War. But suddenly, the world is rewritten, and Kai witnesses humanity's defeat in the war, where dragons and demons rule the Earth, and Kai becomes forgotten by all humans. Then he meets the mysterious girl Ryan, obtains a sacred sword, and challenges all the races that control the planet Earth. Will Kai succeed in reclaiming the Earth from the demons or not? Follow the story to the end. Our episode begins with the protagonist, Kai, standing in front of a beautiful girl named Renee who is tied up. He asks her, "Are you an angel or a demon?" The girl asks him to free her from her restraints, and Kai is surprised that she is asking for his help as a human. He says, "This is impossible. Alternative races and humans have waged a fierce war against each other. This is the history I know." He then wonders, what is supposed to be? Why does no one remember the real world? We then see Kai getting out of the car and using a surveillance camera. His friends in the car are talking about how Kai decided to monitor the graveyard for 300 seconds and how it's impossible for him to stop midway. Then a friend calls out to him from the car saying, "That's enough, Kai." Kai then tells us about the demon race. They are the owners of great magical powers. There's also the celestial race, half humans like angels and elves, and the spirit race, which possesses unique body types like ghosts. The legendary beast race consists of fierce giant beasts like dragons. A war rages between these four races in humanity. He cannot allow a great war to break out among the five races. As a member of the Urza Union, he is obligated to monitor the graveyard site where the demon clan is sealed. When Kai finishes his surveillance, he says, the demon clan is likely still sealed, and returns to the car. On the way, his friend Ashron asks him, has a sealed demon ever escaped in the past 100 years? Kai tells him that it has never happened. Their job as the Aegis human agency is to ensure that it never does. Ashron then points out that there are 4 such graveyards around the world, so isn't it pointless for them to be the only ones serious about it? Kai responds that the other sites take it seriously too, and if a demon were to escape from the graveyard, it would be a disaster. Saki tells them that no demon has ever escaped, and peace prevails in the world. Kai tells her that this does not make him relax. Monitoring the graveyard is his duty. The scene then shifts to the Urza Union and the Aegis human agency, where a monster attacks Kai and Ashron. Ashron falls to the ground, and we see Kai being attacked by a monster. The training officer warns him that it is very dangerous to use a legendary beast-type mechanical doll for combat training, especially since Kai is a low-ranking soldier. Kai strikes the monster, but it doesn't affect it. While the monster is attacking him, the holographic body of the legendary dragon is disabled to prevent it from harming Kai. His friend Saki tells him that she received a clear warning that he is pushing himself too hard, so the fight was stopped to prevent injury. Kai responds that training would be futile if he didn't take risks. Sekai then tells him that she is sure if Kai had been born during the old war between the 5 races, he would have become a great hero, just as the hero Shid said. They look at a picture on the wall, and Kai says that Shid was a very strong hero, unbeatable by anyone, not even Vanessa, the demon clan heroine Alfrea, the celestial clan hero Rikugen Kyoko, the spirit race heroine Norrath, the beast tribe hero could defeat Shid. He overcame them all using the shining sword granted to him by the hero Solaka. Saki tells him it's not certain if the hero Shid and the legendary sword even existed, as there are no videos or pictures of him like the other 4 race heroes. Kai responds that there's no harm in having a mythical figure like Shid. Then Sakai approaches Ashron, asking him how long he'll remain unconscious on the ground, and wakes him up. She asks her friends what they plan to do for Jan's promotion celebration. Ashron tells her a bouquet of flowers would be enough. Saki replies that Jan is moving to the royal capital headquarters of Urzak, being the youngest person in history to be chosen at the age of 17. She's from the elite, and their gift shouldn't be something as ordinary as a bouquet of flowers. Kai then receives a message from Jan, asking him to meet her at the terminal station in front of the cat statue tomorrow at 10 a.m., and she asks him to keep this a secret from Saki and Ashron. However, Saki and Ashron are reading the message with Kai. Kai tells them they misunderstood. The message isn't from Jan. Ashron asks him if there's something between him and Jan, to make him lie to them and tell them the message wasn't from her. Kai avoids them, saying he's going for a run. The next morning, we see Kai waiting at the designated place. Jan arrives and greets him, surprising Kai, who thought she'd be late. She tells him she's moving to Royal Urzak, then looks at his clothes and asks why he came dressed like that. He explains he was training before meeting her. She asks him to go shopping with her. When he asks the purpose of the shopping trip, she says she wants to buy gifts for Saki, Ashran, and him too. She guesses they will give her a gift for her promotion, so she wants to reciprocate. Kai tells her not to overdo it, as she'll be gone for only 2 years and will return as a trainee soldier. She replies that by then, they will be the only soldiers in the Aegis human agency. Kai moves closer and tells her she will surpass her father, the head of the Urze headquarters. They finish shopping, and she thanks him for coming with her. She asks him about when he was 10 years old and the Demon Clan graveyard incident. He tells her that her father took him along for surveillance and he saw Sheed's sword. He remembers that no one believed him when he told them. And since then, it has been his duty to monitor the Demon Clan. Suddenly, something strange happens to Kai. He realizes it is happening only to him as a black hole appears in the sky, sucking Jan into it. The world undergoes reconstitution and embellishment. Suddenly, we see Kai in a completely destroyed city, wondering where he is and what's happening. A monster appears from behind a building, and Kai realizes it's a demon. The demon attacks Kai with its magic, but Kai uses his sword to deflect the attacks. He neutralizes the demon's magic with bullets made using elven magic as a base. Then, the battle begins between them. Then, Kai shoots the demon with some scorching bullets, burning it instantly. These modified cannon bullets replicate the breath of the legendary beast. This is the first time Kai has used them, but he is amazed at his ability to move as he did in training and fight the demons with ease. At that moment, he hears another demon in the sky asking, "Who are you?" Kai is startled, and the demon says, "Are you human? Are you saying a human defeated us demons?" The demon speaks the human language, surprising Kai. The demon then tells him, "Humans are nothing but lowly slaves to me. Now I will erase you from the face of the earth." The demon uses its full power, but just then a girl comes to Kai and pulls him into her car, speeding away quickly. She asks him where he is from as she doesn't recognize him. She is surprised that he knows her name, Saki. He asks, "Don't you remember me? I am Kai." He looks at the driver and realizes it's his friend Ashran, but Ashran doesn't recognize him either. Ashran apologizes, asking, "Have we met somewhere before? You seem disoriented from the attack. You should rest and you'll be fine." Kai responds, "I'm fine, but you don't remember me even though we're in the same unit in the Aegis Human Agency." Saki tells him, "We are soldiers in the resistance." Kai asks, "What resistance? The Palestinian resistance?" She replies, "No, dear, the resistance in our human rebel army." Kai is shocked and says, "What's going on? I don't understand." Ashran begins to explain the story to him. The war broke out, known as the Great War of the Five Races, and humanity lost. This was 30 years ago, and the other 4 races took over cities around the world. As for the humans, they are struggling to survive, hiding in shelters. While on their way, Kai asks, "Is this the city of Vishal?" Ashran replies, "I see you remember the name. Very good." The scene then shifts to them descending a staircase, with Ashran explaining that the other 4 races rule the world and continue to fight over the land. The demons took over the Urze Union, so all they could do was flee the city quickly. They open a door, revealing what seems like another world. Ashran says, "Welcome to New Vishal, the city of humans. All humans are hiding here." Kai asks how humanity lost the Great War of the 5 races. They tell him that the demons are very strong and also fight in groups, making it impossible to defeat them. Additionally, they have a main leader referred to as the hero, who is incredibly powerful. Kai asks, "What about someone named Shed?" They respond, "Shed, what do you mean by Shed?" Kai's taken aback, realizing they don't know him, even though he is supposed to be a legendary human hero who defeated the 4 races. They tell him that if such a person existed, they wouldn't be living underground now. At that moment, the main battalion arrives. There are other human cities in various places, and a resistance sanctuary is established in each city. The main battalion oversees these sanctuaries. The leader of the resistance is a savior for the people of the Urze Union. The big surprise for Kai is when he sees the leader. It's Jane, the love of his life. They salute her and inform her that everything is fine and secure. She looks at Kai and says, "Who is this stranger? I've never seen him before." They tell her that they found him on the surface and managed to secure him from the demons. He seems like a good person and there's no need to worry. Kai feels like he's losing his mind because no one remembers him. When Jan turned around and left, Kai yelled after her, "Wait, Jan, it's me, Kai. We were just shopping together a little while ago. You said you wanted to give gifts to Saki and Ashran before heading to Orzak." She turned back and said, "What are you talking about, boy? It seems you're confusing me with someone else." Kai was deeply saddened that she didn't remember anything. She apologized and said she had an urgent meeting to attend. But Kai called out to her again, "Why are you wearing that uniform as if you're a man? You said you wanted to surpass your father as his daughter." He reached out to grab her, but Phelan intervened, saying, "What do you think you're doing?" They told him he needed to relax as his mind was completely disoriented. Phelan said, "I will let you rest in my room, my friend." The scene then shifts to Kai sitting in the room contemplating, "What is happening? Why doesn't anyone remember me? I reviewed the document several times and the only records missing are mine and Shid's. Have I traveled back in time or into the future or to another world? How did humanity lose the Great War of the Five Races?" He continued, "If Shid never existed and humanity lost the war, then why do the tombs for sealing the five races still exist?" The scene then shifts to Kai asking his friends about the tombs, but they had never heard of them. He borrowed Ashran's car, promising to return by noon. Saki scolded Ashran, "What have you done? He's a stranger to us." Ashran apologized, "I'm really sorry. I did it unintentionally." Kai then drove until he finally reached the pyramid. This was the first time he had come here alone, and he was surprised to find that the seal stone had been removed. He entered the entrance and was astonished to see something shining. Shade's sword. He rushed to it, grabbed it, and heard a voice calling out, "You who are bound by the hatred of fate, never relinquish this sword. It is the key to world alignment, the code bearer." Something strange then happened, and he was transported to another place, as if in the sky. As he approached, he saw the winged girl from before, who said, "Who are you? Save me, please, release me from these bonds," she cried profusely. And thus ends our exciting and beautiful episode. Stay tuned for the next episode. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any exciting new content. Today's episode begins with Kai arriving at that heavenly place where he finds the girl whose race is unknown. Whether she is human, demon, or of some other species. She cries out for help, saying, "Save me," while looking at him and asking, "Who are?" He replies, "I am Kai." Then he learns that her name is Rini, and she pleads with him to help her. He approaches her and realizes that she is not a demon while thinking about how to rescue her from those chained shackles. He says, "You better not attack me after I save you. I believe my words are clear." Then he strikes the chain, but it remains unaffected. He shoots it, but it still doesn't break. Kai is surprised and says, "Even this wasn't enough to break it, but I have no other weapon." But wait, what if I use that mighty sword on it? The sword that bears the code. At that moment, he uses the sword, which emits a brilliant light, astonishing Kai with its power. He realizes that it is the sword forged by the legendary hero. Then he strikes the chain, which completely splits apart and catches Rini before she falls to the ground. When she wakes up, she leaps away from him and shouts, "Vanessa, Vanessa, come out now. I won't lose to you again." She then points at Kai and says, "Do you really think you can stop me by sending this low-ranking demon?" Kai looks at her and says, "I am not a demon, but I don't understand who Vanessa is or whom you are talking to." She tells him to be quiet and quickly bring her here. She then uses her tremendous power, which can annihilate an entire army. However, at that moment, he uses his legendary sword to split that nuclear crystal. Rini is shocked and says, "Impossible. How did you do that? Are you a vile demon?" He tells her, "I am not a demon. I am human. Look closely. I don't have wings, a tail, or red eyes. You asked for help and I helped you. How could I be a demon, you fool? Do you understand now that I am not a demon?" She replies, "I'm very sorry. I have a grudge against demons, so I couldn't help myself." He approaches her and asks, "Does that mean you're not a demon?" She says yes, but she couldn't tell him whether she is human, semi-human, or an animal. She says, "Forgive me for this question, but I cannot answer you." "I am glad you understand human," she said to him. He replied, "I don't like that word, but call me Kai. My name is Kai." Then she introduced herself, saying, "My name is Rini." He asked her, "I want to ask you a question. Do you know where we are?" But she didn't know where they were. While she was fighting Vanessa, she suddenly found herself trapped in this place. He asked, "Who is Vanessa? Is she the Empress of Darkness, the champion of demons?" "Did you fight with the champion, Rini? Are you really that powerful? She told him that it was true and that she could annihilate an entire army of demons. She added, "But you are amazing too, Kai, and you were able to break my spell so easily." He replied, "The credit mostly goes to this sword." At that moment, a black hole gate opened and a mighty demoness emerged from it. She said, "The threat level to the new world has been determined as the worst, so we will exterminate anyone in our way." She used her power to strike, but Kai and Renai dodged. She was incredibly powerful and destroyed the entire tower. When Kai saw this power, he said to Renai, "Let's run quickly," and they started running at great speed. But the black hole gate opened above them directly, and the demoness grabbed Renai. She now wanted to get rid of her with 5 sharp blades. Renai screamed, "Save me." Kai became very angry and said, "What is my problem? Should I just stand here and watch her being tortured in front of me?" Then he jumped with his mighty sword and struck the arm that was holding her, slicing it in half. The demoness was shocked and said, "What? The forbidden sword? Why is it here in this place?" Kai caught Renai, and they escaped through a time gate that took them to a dungeon. Renai ran and hugged him, saying, "I'm sorry, but I was very scared." He asked her, "Is there anyone with you?" Renai replied that she wasn't with anyone. This was the first time someone had done something like this for her. She had been told by the celestials, spirits, and even legendary creatures that she wasn't one of them. The demons were the harshest, calling her a vile abomination. This was why she engaged in a fierce battle against Vanessa. Kai responded that he felt the same way. No one remembered him, and he felt completely alone in the world. The history he remembered was one where humans won the Great War of the 5 races. But in this world, it seemed that demons occupied their cities. Renai didn't understand his words and asked how the demons had taken over human cities. She hadn't heard of anything like that. She thought, before clashing with Vanessa, that humans were winning and the demons were making a fuss about it. They even said that the hero of humanity had arrived. Kai was surprised and asked her if she knew Shid. She replied that she didn't know him. He apologized and then told her he was glad they remembered the same history. He believed they were similar. Renai was happy to hear this because he was the first person to say that to her. Kai told her that it was also the first time he had said such a thing. After that, they left the place. Renai asked him what he intended to do. As he was about to answer, Renai fell to the ground. Kai caught her and intended to return to the city. He told her that if she didn't have a place to go, she could come with him. She replied that she didn't want to go to a human city because she couldn't trust anyone. But he was different from anyone else. He had saved her after all. Kai asked her to trust him and come with him. She could leave if she couldn't trust anyone. Later, Kai returned home and talked to himself about how exhausted he was from what had happened. He thought about Renai and how it was good she managed to hide her wings. Despite that, she was still conspicuously attractive. She had tried to use magic in the middle of the city, surrounded by unfamiliar people, so he didn't blame her for being extremely cautious. Renai came to him after taking a bath and then lay on his bed, delighted by its softness. She had always slept on rough surfaces, as everything around her was destroyed. She then asked him if demons really occupied the cities. He confirmed that they did, explaining that he had initially doubted it, but meeting her had confirmed it. They were in a world where the results of the Great War of the 5 races had been reversed. Renai didn't understand his words, so Kai continued, suggesting that if the correct history was the one where they remembered Shid. What about this history then? Renai replied that she believed it was an alternate history. All they had to do was escape from this timeline and return to the correct one. Kai hoped there was a way to do just that. Renai fell asleep with Kai beside her. In the middle of the night, Renai screamed loudly and told him that she felt a strong magic presence. The demons were here. When Kai went out to the balcony, he saw that they were indeed launching an invasion. All residents were being warned to evacuate immediately to the shelter. Everyone in the city was tense and scared. When Kai went down to the street, he was shocked by what was happening. He had never realized how bad things were, as humanity was heavily besieged and there was no one who could save them. He fell silent for a moment and asked Renai to wait for him there. He believed that the only person in this world who could play the role of Shid was likely himself, so he would go to save the city. The city's men attacked the monster with gunfire, but it had no effect. Ashrin called for Saki to bring him the heavy machine gun. The monster chased Saki using its powers against her, but Kai saved her just in time. He instructed her to use water because when those stone bodies absorbed water, they became too heavy to fly. Then, he told her to hit them with grenades. The monster attacked Kai, but he deflected all its strikes. Rini then used her magic to attack the monster. Kai spoke to Rini, saying, "You are strong enough to fight against Vanessa." She replied, "Yes, if you are fighting, I am fighting with you." Ashrin approached Kai and asked about the bullets that nullified magic moments ago, and how he was able to fend off those demons with his fists. He inquired, "What kind of martial art is this?" Kai responded, "I come from a world where humans won the Great War of the Five Races. The combat style and lightning bullets are from that world." They were amazed by what Kai said, but then Ashrin received a call informing him that the monitoring team had discovered 2 escaped demons. Ashrin spoke to them, saying they had found the underground city. Next time there would be more demons. He informed the headquarters. Saki then asked Kai to accompany them to the rebel army's headquarters given his strength, and she was sure Jan would welcome him. On their way to the headquarters, Ashrin explained that the rebel army's headquarters of the Araz Union was located in the old royal capital. Demons would never think to search for humans there because it was a blind spot. Saki mentioned that this was a suggestion by the previous commander, Jan's father, who retired due to an injury 2 years ago, making Jan his successor. They arrived at the headquarters, and Kai introduced himself and Rini. Jan responded, saying she had received the report and asked him to explain what had happened. The commander got upset, saying that claiming to come from a world where humans won the Great War of the Five Races was a waste of time. Jan replied, "You speak as if you know me. In this alternate history you speak of, what was our relationship?" Kai responded, "We were colleagues and childhood friends. You talked to me often and wanted to be like Ao and Jer." Jan said, "Let's end this matter here today." The scene then shifted to a room where Jan's friend came to Kai, saying that Jan was waiting for him. She said she had heard from Saki about the gargoyle's weakness and asked if that information was from his world. She added that if they could benefit from his knowledge and combat skills, they would. They went to see Jane, and when Kai saw her, he said, "I expected you were disguising yourself as a man." She told him that the only ones who knew she was a woman were Valen and the veteran executives, Ao and Jair. She was surprised that he knew her name, her father's name, and her grandfather's name. Jan said, "But that doesn't mean I believe everything you've said. However, your knowledge and combat skills are worth relying on. That's why I need your help. We will coordinate with the other 5 human cities to surround and repel the demons that tried to invade New Vashel. If we won't have to abandon New Vashel. I will offer generous rewards if we cooperate." Rini responded, "I don't think this will resolve the issue. You might be able to repel them, but this response will attract more demons here. If a high-ranking demon appears, a single spell from them could wipe out the entire city." Jan admitted that she knew this but had no other choice. Kai then suggested, "We should attack the royal capital. There is one demon we should tar. Vanessa, the Empress of Dark." Jan mentioned that Vanessa was a true monster who 30 years ago single-handedly wiped out the capital's defense forces and took over the government palace. Kai thought to himself, the only thing that can work against that monster is the Sword of Shid, the bearer of the cipher. So it will be just the 2 of us fighting her directly. In the history I know, a man named Shid defeated Vanessa alone. I will do my best. Jan asked him, "What benefit does this bring to you?" He replied, "I've been thinking about it for a while. I came from another world. There's no reason for me to risk my life for this world. But Ashrin and Saki fight with their lives on the line. Even if I were to abandon this world and return to my own, the demons are more cautious than the other 3 races, wary of humans. That's why most of their forces are near the borders. The demons near the royal capital make up 10% of their forces. While Vanessa fights, I want the rebel army to distract the other demons." Jen said, "If we do our best, we might be able to distract them for a few hours. But by the time we reach the government palace, most of our soldiers will be killed." Valen mentioned, "There is an underground entrance behind the palace. There is a private underground railway that the royal family used as a shelter. Civilians don't know about it, let alone the demons." Jen asked, "Why didn't you tell me about this strategic information?" Valen replied, "This strategy was developed 15 years ago by your predecessor, but there was no way to defeat Vanessa, so the idea was abandoned, and no one was informed." Jan got upset, knowing her father had known all this and hadn't told her. Kai interjected, he planned to storm the government palace and challenge Vanessa. No parents would send their daughter on such a reckless mission. Valen apologized, saying, "But I found myself wanting to take the risk." Jan then said, We will hold a meeting immediately. We will attack New Vashel and take a stand against the Empress of Darkness. We will reclaim the Oraz Union. This is how today's episode ends. Stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive latest updates.